Okay, guys, we're back with episode 38. Um, it was not that big of a weekend of boxing, but it's still there was some fighting going on, especially the card that happened in England, in Britain with Dillian Whyte and Alexander Povetkin rematch. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a few other things. And so what's going on, Doc?
Yeah, yeah, not a lot of big fights, but some fights at least, right?
Yeah. The thing that card yesterday in England, I watched it like almost from the beginning, and I'm like, wait, I think the main event will start at like 5 o'clock, 5:30 about,
Yeah,
but it didn't start till like 7, 8 here, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, like 7, because they're
yeah,
5 hours ahead. But then I was talking to my cousin from England actually too. We were talking about the fight before it happened,
yeah,
and he was staying up for it and stuff because they're 5 hours ahead. And he's like, the place where they had it, Gibraltar,
yeah.
it's still part of Britain. It's 1 hour ahead of their
Mm.
time, so
Oh,
it was like 6 hours ahead there
yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
for us. Anyways, so let's just jump into the Dillian Whyte
Yeah,
right there. So Dillian at the Gibraltar, which is part of Great Britain, a little island on the Mediterranean Sea, just for a geography lesson. I thought we got to educate our listeners and viewers too. Before that just reminded me too. We need you. We want you guys to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Dog and the Boxer. And guys, any question that you have, anything that we're talking about, if we're making mistakes, because we're only human, we make mistakes too with
yeah.
some facts and stuff. Email us at Doc and the Boxer, all lowercase, at gmail.com, because we definitely want to hear from you.
You got it. Even if it's related to injuries or something from boxing, you got a question about stuff like that, as well as
Yeah.
boxing itself. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right up your alley right there,
yeah,
Doc.
yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Okay, so this, first of all, this fight, like, we have to give Dillian Whyte credit. I'm not a big Dillian
Do we?
Whyte fan. Only credit only because he took this fight right after getting knocked out. That's what I'm saying. That's why he deserved
Okay.
credit, because usually when you get knocked out, you have a lot of things that go on in your mind. Some fighters are never the same fighter after a knockout, and that was a devastating knockout. That wasn't just knockout TKO. That was, you got knocked out type
Yeah,
of
yeah. You
knockout
did.
with Povetkin in the fifth round of that fight, which in a fight that I like his nickname too, the body snatcher, because you know me, I'm all about the body, Dillian Whyte, and because that first fight, he knocked Povetkin down a couple times, and then
Yeah,
he was clearly winning the fight, and boom, it was just a slip, boom, and Doc, Eddie, we know Eddie, our friend,
yeah, yeah.
and so he texted me right away, and he's like, Coach, that's a combination that we were working on like a couple of days ago, because we work on something, and I was showing him that slip bang uppercut, and
It's beautiful.
it was nice, eh?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. If you can get that uppercut in before that cross comes,
Hmm.
you're golden. Plus, your head's out of the way too, so it's hard for that cross to come in.
Yeah, your head's off the
Depending if
line.
you're orthodox. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
your head's off the line. We'll get into the talk about, once again, there's more steroids to talk about in this weight class. And actually, Doc, I usually generally post something up the day of a fight, like, oh, this fight's coming up. I give my Cooner's Corner prediction and stuff. And for this fight, uh, and I was wrong. I'm not always right, but I picked Povetkin. I said most people don't come back from getting knocked out bad. They're scarred. Their body, it can defeat and kill people's careers. And I really thought that Povetkin would probably do that again with White. Right.
Well, you know what else could kill a career is getting COVID, right? And
That's another thing we'll talk about. Yeah.
yeah, gotta
For
talk
sure.
about that. I mean,
Yeah.
look, should we get right into that or?
Okay. Let's talk about. Well, let just quickly.
Yeah,
Quickly, I'll just give the
review
result
it.
of the
Yep,
fight, and you know how we do that.
yep.
Dillian, the body snatcher White, now improves to 28-2 and 19 KOs with a TKO in the fourth round of Alexander Sasha Povetkin, who now is 36-2-1. So let we can jump into that, Doc. That's a big point, is a COVID-19 that Povetkin had.
Coming off of COVID-19, which can really, because people get different symptoms and they get different effects from the disease. It's hard to predict, how bad he was or how good he was. You can't compare him to any other people that have had COVID either, because sometimes the symptoms are so individualistic. But he was coming off of that. He's 41 years old, a 41-year-old heavyweight.
Mhm.
That, I believe, takes a big toll on your body, being 41 and in that division. So right off the bat, he's got everything going against him going into that fight. So I was not surprised of the outcome, actually. I didn't see much out of Povetkin in this fight. What I noticed with Dillian Whyte is, for every one cross down the middle, he probably throws 10 right hands that are looping and wild.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
he was going for it.
He was going for it. But when I watch him fight, I don't see him as a threat in the heavyweight division.
Me neither. I don't put him up there as he is a threat. You have to give him that. But one thing I like with two British fighters in the heavyweight division is Derek Chisora and Dillian Whyte. To me, these guys are what you don't want to see in sports, like athletes that are so they cocky and arrogant, and the way they might do like the fight. He afterwards he went into the corner and asked for Povetkin's, said hi and all that. Obviously he's gonna do that then. But there's so many times the lead up to the fight, he didn't even shake. Povetkin puts his hand out, doesn't even shake his hand or anything, just looking like that. He with Derek Chisora, the other guy, the other British guy. I remember when he spit water in Vladimir Klitschko's face and
Klitschko,
stuff.
yeah, I do. These guys are dicks the way they behave.
Yeah, that's terrible behavior, and
Yeah,
I don't care. Like, he loses all respect for me, and he stepped up. Like, he's beaten a lot of guys, right? He has, but when he stepped up and he fought Joshua, he got knocked out.
yeah.
Like, when he
I don't
stepped
see.
up the big boys.
I've never thought Chisora was that good also, and I don't think Dillian Whyte is as good as he can be. He's like a Brazil. I think Brazil has reached and is out as good as he can be, and I think
Yeah.
that's the lower tier of pro heavyweights.
Yeah, those guys are like gatekeepers, okay? Like,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
they're
guys
gonna.
coming up.
You got it. They're gonna generate money and paper and views just by fighting each other. Right now, they're already talking about a
A
rubber
third
match
fight.
with Povetkin too,
Yeah.
right? So a third fight with him. So I don't see those guys in the top tier. Going forward, we got Ruiz is going to be fighting May 1st. He's fighting Areola.
Yeah.
What I would like to see happen is if Ruiz beats Areola, and that is my prediction.
Yeah.
It's probably your prediction too.
Areola, did we even think the guy's still even fighting?
I didn't know.
And then all of a sudden, bang! There's Areola's back in the picture.
So let's see Ruiz fight him. If Ruiz beats him, I think Ruiz should fight. I think Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
And then the winner of that fight gets a chance to fight the winner of the Joshua Tyson Fury fight. That makes logical sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how boxing is. They'll put one of these
Yeah.
other bums up against
Some. Yeah, we can't use that
they're all
word,
good.
but
They're all like
yeah.
just for being in there. I strike
Right.
that from the record. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
But
of course, of course.
I'd rather see that happen,
Mhm. I agree.
right? Top guys should fight top guys. Doesn't matter what division it is, and I don't care who the number one, the mandatory is either.
Yeah.
That sometimes I can't even stand seeing a mandatory
Like sometimes
fight the
it's
champ.
like, yeah, and then you're like, how is this guy even a mandatory? And sometimes you're like, is it for the belt? Like guys that are going for the belts, or are they going for like to be the best ever
Right?
or the best, right? Like
Yeah,
belts are the best. But it seems like people they want the belts. That everyone wants a belt. It looks good. I don't know. They're fighting for the belts. They like the belts.
yeah, yeah, and that's why but we're the fans.
Yeah.
Right,
The-
we're paying for this stuff. We watch the pay-per-views, we talk about it, we promote fighting as much as we in our own little way.
yeah.
And I think it's gotta be for the fans. That's gotta be a big part of it. And I don't feel that
Yeah.
they put a mandatory in there like we just saw Yildirim or whatever his name was
Yeah. Yeah.
when he just got
Yeah.
pounded out.
That's a good example of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm tired of these mandatories. I don't
Yeah.
think they make sense. The only winners are the belt, the like
Sanctioning fees that they
sanction
get
body.
paid and
Yeah,
yeah.
they get paid.
Yeah.
No matter what, they get paid.
Doc, you don't have your drink with you? I got a glass of wine to have on. I felt like
Oh, I was gonna put a little gin on, but I forgot. But no, drink away. Red
nice.
wine?
Yeah, a lot of red wine. Only thing it gives you like messes up your teeth and your lips.
It does. That and coffee.
Yeah, you
You
can't
have a coffee after that.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good combination. And the 1-2 punch. Bang bang. Yeah. So yeah, like we're talking about White going back to the fight, and White he's beaten some guys. Like he's beaten Oscar Rives, Joseph Parker, he beat Derek Chisora twice, Lucas Brown, Robert Helenius. But the one he stepped up, he got knocked out by Povetkin. But I mean, these guys are good. Rives is really good. He's just smaller.
Yeah, a little bit too small for these guys.
Yeah.
You're right. But yeah, you're right. He did beat some really good guys.
Yeah.
But not great guys.
Not great. No.
Thanks, honey.
No. Oh. Just what the doctor ordered, eh?
Yeah, it's got tannins. It's got tannins in it. It's good for the heart.
Oh, beautiful.
Vasodilator.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, doc. So just pretty much let's expand a little bit more on the COVID, the whole COVID.
Okay.
And that's one reason why the fight it took a while for them to get the rematch after the first fight when Povetkin tested positive and stuff. But it looked like to me, I'm like, this guy don't even look the same. Like his balance was all over the place. He was falling, not even getting hit, and he was falling like he was getting shot with a shotgun.
Right in the first round, that was happening.
Right away.
You're right. He just didn't look steady on his feet, period.
Yeah.
And especially when you're fighting big punchers like in the heavyweight division, you got to have your feet planted.
Yeah.
When you're throwing, and you got to be able to react and move when they're throwing. And he didn't move.
Yeah.
And when he would back up, he didn't angle out. He went straight back.
Yeah. It's either the COVID or like the effects of COVID, because we know COVID, it can the symptom it can be long lasting. We don't know how long it can last in your life, like after you, right?
And what other boxer just had it recently too and fought?
Jamal, this weekend coming out, Jamal Herring, He's gonna fight. He had COVID. So did
Yeah.
didn't Beterbiev?
Better be it. That's right.
Yeah,
But
Beterbiev too.
that's true. And also the effects of COVID may be different when you're over 40 compared to when you're in your early 30s or late
Good point.
20s. So a combination of things. Should they do a third fight? Yes, it's a rubber. I think there's going to still be interest in it. But as far as does this fight advance and do something to affect the heavyweight division? No.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It has no real effect on the top guys in the division.
No. The interview was funny because actually he's pretty funny guy. Like he's outspoken and stuff.
Who is?
Dillian Whyte, right?
Oh yeah,
Dillian.
yeah. He's
So
very
he had the belt. He had the belt, the WBC. It was supposed to be for the WBC diamond belt, right? But they just gave him a WBC belt. I guess they're gonna send him the diamond belt later on in the week or whatever. So he was there. He's like, Eddie, where's the diamonds? Where's the diamonds? He's like, this ain't the belt. I want the one with the diamonds. He's so he's arguing with Eddie to get him the diamond belt, WBC belt.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I'm sure he'll get in the mail.
There's so many belts nowadays in boxing. Like
what is a diamond belt, gold? What
yeah, super champion, champion in Emirates, champion in recess. I don't what way too many. Interim, IBF, interim.
Yeah.
There's way too many belts.
I agree. There already is enough belts with WBO, WBC, IBF, the major belts. That's already too many.
Yeah,
right. And then they have WBC, diamond.
Yeah, then add another, like there's like 8 belts. Like you can probably more than that. You can win a belt, like the NABA, NABF, like there's so many different belts.
Yeah.
And belts is good for the boxer. I like it only because it allows some fighters that will never have the opportunity to make good money, because they're not really that to make that kind of money. Because when they get a world title belt, there a lot of prestige that comes with that and money. Because it's
true, an opportunity. You're right.
An opportunity to make some good money and stuff.
I get that, but it doesn't decide who the best fighter is in the division.
For the fans, it sucks for sure. Like all the belts and like back in the day, there's 8 weight classes and 1 champion per weight class.
That makes sense to me. I'd love it to go back to that again.
Yeah.
I really like that.
We'll see if that ever happens.
Yeah.
There's too much money for these title the different belts for the sanctioning fees and everything that they're getting paid for. There's a lot of money they're getting paid for that.
Absolutely. And I think the promoters like having a lot of belts too.
I think so too. It looks good. Like it's good. It's good on the resume. The guy has a title. It looks good on the resume.
Yeah. And it attracts other fighters when you've got a stable of world champions.
Yeah.
It can attract other fighters to your camp too. So there's a few benefits there.
So like just to talking about the Dillian Whyte and Povetkin and how tough is it to come back from a knockout, getting knocked out by a guy and then going and fighting him the very next fight, the same guy that he must have went through a lot psychologically, mentally. It's very very straining. Dog, you looked at the docket already, eh?
Yeah, go on. No, go on. I did.
So who are some fighters that have come back from being knocked out by a guy and then coming back and beating the same guy that knocked him out?
Yeah, like Lennox Lewis.
Yeah.
And Browning, right?
And Hard Rock one, that was the big one there in South Africa.
But when I look back at those guys, even Tyson too, when he got knocked Didn't get knocked out. Well, he did. He got TKO by Buster Douglas.
Oh, he was gone. He was
Usually
out.
in that first fight, the challenger is just worked out and is just totally motivated. And then you got the champ who's kind of got a little bit slack. Like Lewis got slack in that first fight.
Yeah,
And
that's so right. Yeah,
right?
the combination of both of those coming
Yeah,
together, right? You got the guy that's the
yeah,
champion. He's not training like this. The challenger who's training more than he's ever trained in his life because he's
right.
got a golden opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think we've seen that in the definitely in the Lewis fight.
Yeah, Louis Rockman and one was, well, just even just getting knocked out, and good example of that was when Julio Cesar Chavez knocked out Meldred Taylor, and then Taylor was never really, even though he
No.
won 5 fights after that in a row
Yeah.
before being knocked out by Terry Norris, he
Yes.
was not the same fighter after that, right?
No. No, it wasn't. What was it? 8 seconds left in the round in the last round.
3 seconds, and
3
Richard
seconds.
Steele stopped the fight.
And he was winning that fight.
But she was getting battered, man. She was getting battered, and it was a good stoppage because Richard Steele, he said too, he's like, man, he's like, I didn't know how much time was left in the round. How do I know? I
Yeah,
just stopped the fight because he was getting beat bad.
Yeah, he took a lot of bad punches. He threw out a lot of punches, but you're right. You're right. Steele didn't know when the fight was what the timing was. He had to call it, and we would want him to call if there was 2 minutes left in that round, and he was getting hit like that, Taylor. You would have called the fight. So you're right. It shouldn't be dependent on the time. It's all about the fighter's safety.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And then so White, this is what White's saying. He's like, White, I'm just sad that I didn't get the finish in the first round. I shouldn't have lost the first time. I was annoyed on by myself and I made a silly mistake. That's all it takes in boxing is the one mistake. And then bang, things change.
Yeah, he knocked him down in the first round, right? Povetkin.
Yeah. In this fight, in the first fight?
In this fight.
No. Povetkin.
He had Povetkin in trouble.
Oh, he got knocked down. Yeah. I think so.
But I thought he was smart not to trying to go for the finish right then. I thought it showed a more mature, patient.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
White, and I thought it was a good move. Just keep battering him up, and eventually the knockout's going to come, and that's what happened in the 4th round, I think it was.
Yeah, and just to touch on what you just said, because this is what he says, it's like from the first round on, I was on to him. I was tempted to go hell for leather in the first round, but then I thought it wasn't a small thing to do. He's still very strong, right?
You see, that I like.
Yeah.
That's probably the smartest thing he said.
Yeah. But what do you like? Do you think Povetkin? I mean, with the first one thing is that let's talk about quickly that both these guys tested positive for steroids. Povetkin twice for steroids in 2016.
Yeah,
two times he was banned, right, and paid a big fine and whatever. So I mean, that's one thing. Then you have Dillian Whyte who tested positive for 2 metabolites. Is that how you pronounce it? Metabolites.
Yep.
Of the banned steroid Dianabol, just days before he faced Oscar Rivas and beat Oscar Rivas.
Yeah. So, but do you think that when a guy's already shown a history of taking performance-enhancing drugs, do you think in their next fights that they're under more of a microscope going forward?
I think from then on they are, but the thing is that you get labeled, but actually not really, because if you think about it, like in boxing now, people are, I know we talked about the Canelo and stuff, but people don't really talk too much about that whole clean beat roll thing. I didn't hear anything about Dillian Whyte and Povetkin and there's failed drug tests, especially Povetkin, who was two times
Hmm.
and two. He's also an Olympic gold medalist too. We can't forget that because if you have a pedigree like that, it means you're a
Yeah.
really good fighter. And he showed that in spurts at the beginning. Like you don't like he's got the like that style. He's moving back,
Yeah.
and I just felt he was throwing too many. Like he's trying to like hit that home run or with the hook every time with the hook, and it
Hmm.
wasn't even landing.
No,
I
no,
don't know.
no, I agree.
Anyways, let's just escape this fight now
Okay.
because it was it was interesting, but shouldn't take up this much time in our
Yeah,
podcast
yeah,
because
yeah.
Dillian White doesn't deserve that much time
No,
from
not
us
yet.
to speak on. Not
Yeah.
yet. Shoot, man. Oh, sorry, one second. And then we also have, and the other fight on that card. So, well, Ricky Hatton's son, Campbell Hatton.
Yeah.
So first of all, you have to give this kid a lot of credit. He's only 20 years old. I know the fight he fought an 0-10 guy, and
Yeah.
his opponent came, as an opponent,
Yeah.
and it was last minute and everything. And this was a showcase for
Yeah.
Ricky Hatton, who is
And Matthew. Yeah.
yeah, and Matthew, Ricky Hatton, who is probably the most popular British fighter of all time, most popular ever, because they loved him and they still love him. And how could you not love that guy? Because he's always been like a fan favorite, a fan friendly
Yeah.
fighter
Yeah.
and personality outside of the ring too.
Absolutely. I remember when he beat Costa Zoo.
Yeah. Oh, I was. You know what?
Breakout fight for him.
Yeah, that was in 2005, and I was in England at the time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was there, and my cousin's a big fan, and we didn't watch fight because I was telling everyone the cost dude's gonna not beat him up, knock him out, blah blah blah. In the morning, I hear no, we heard later that Ricky hadn't stopped him, and I was like, what? Ricky Hatton, who is this guy? Ricky Hatton actually was in 1996. We were both at the World Junior Championships in Havana, Cuba. Ricky won a bronze. I won a silver in that
Oh wow.
tournament. Different weight classes,
Yeah.
obviously. He was always a little bit bigger than me.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
only one Ricky Hatton.
Yeah. Crazy Brits,
Those
man.
those fans, you gotta admire
Best.
them, and they're the best fans.
Best
Boston fans,
fans.
bar none,
Yeah.
bar none. Eh?
Yeah. So I did watch that fight. Um, can I make it? I'll make a couple of
Yeah,
comments. All
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
You can tell that he didn't have an amateur career. You could see that in the way he
Only
fights.
5 fights
Yeah.
as amateur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can see that. You can see a fighter that just went very quick into the pros.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean they're not going to be successful, but there's a real growth period that still has to happen with his boxing.
Mhm.
Second thing I notice is that his chin is up when he
Yeah.
throws punches. I don't
Yeah.
like to see that. And the third thing is sometimes he'd throw a punch and he'd kind of look away after throwing a
Yeah.
punch as well. Did you notice that?
Yeah, he got nailed with a few clean, good
He
shots
did.
by only 10 fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. A tough little Spanish guy, but boy, they gotta really, if they're gonna he's gonna climb the ranks. He's got a lot of learning to do.
One thing I said, Doc, is about these tons of professional athletes that how they want to get into it. They're getting into like basketball
Yeah.
and boxing and whatever. But the one thing, regardless of if they get far or not, they become like their father or whatever. You have to give these kids credit because Look what they're
Yeah,
doing. It's not like they know they're set for life. Like they got enough money.
yeah,
Their
yeah,
dad made enough money to
yeah,
that they're set for life. Like they
yeah.
don't have to be the dad, and they have to go from zero to right. They're like
True.
Marvin Hagler used to
But the
say.
pressure they're under really
They're
because of
proud.
that.
Mhm.
Name a couple other name me two more fighters that's whose fathers. Don't look it up. Name me
Well,
two other fighters whose
why?
fathers
Because
were
you
uber successful.
okay. So there's Leon Spinks and Corey Spinks.
Yeah,
I didn't even look
right.
at that.
Who else?
Okay, now I'm gonna look at it.
Don't look.
I loved Hector Camacho, Hector Camacho and his son. But
Mhm.
then we look at
What
I
about
mean the big
Mosley?
oh shame, but his
Shane
dad
Mosley.
was his dad a fighter?
Sh-
Jack?
Sugar? No, Shane Mosley's son was a
Oh, sorry,
fighter,
sorry. What am I saying? Of
right? He
course,
came.
of course.
He went
Yeah,
to the finals in the Contender Series, but he was
yeah.
never that.
He's
He's never his
and
father. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
yeah,
There's another example.
yeah, and
Again,
yeah. I'm
never
sorry.
really becoming anything near what their father was. It's tough.
I'll name a few of them.
Yeah,
Hasim Rahman and his dad, Floyd Patterson, and his son, Tracy Harris Patterson, Goody Espada Sr. and Goody Espada Jr., Wilfredo Vasquez Sr., Wilfredo Vasquez Jr., who is Idris Marvis Fraser, Joe Fraser's son,
mm-hmm.
Hector Muhammad Ali, and his daughter Layla Ali. The thing is, if you look at all these names that I mentioned, I didn't mention one name yet because there's probably it's obviously the most high profile of all the father son duel, and these guys never amounted to what close to what their fathers did.
True, true.
Yeah, and
That's tremendous pressure.
it's tremendous pressure, and it's the hunger. That full hunger is not there. They're waking up in satin sheets, like Marvin
Yeah,
Hagler used to say. It's hard when when you're sleeping in satin sheets, training and stuff.
so right. So true, man. So
Yeah.
true.
Um, the biggest name is Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Yep.
and Floyd, and the Floyd Mayweather Jr. situation is eerily similar to the Ricky Hatton situation because Ricky has got his son Campbell, and the uncle
Right.
is training, and Matthew Hatton is training
Yeah.
Campbell Hatton. Then
Yeah.
you had Floyd Mayweather Jr. His father was not his trainer, but Roger Mayweather, the uncle, was the trainer. I love Roger Mayweather, man. I miss that guy. He was great for boxing.
Amazing, amazing what he did for
I,
Floyd. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that guy. He was
And he was a
awesome, man.
champion himself too.
He was, yeah. He was a great. He was probably out of. Oh no, because a lot of these fighters were really good. Yeah.
Oh
Well, he
yeah.
was comparable to Matthew Hatton. He was a lot better than Matthew Hatton.
Yeah.
Matthew Hatton, don't get me wrong, was a great fighter, but he failed to win a world title
And
in
yeah.
his cut. Remember he got knocked out by Canelo?
Yeah.
Canelo's coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that fight too. I mean, he had no chance against Canelo. By the way, speaking of Canelo,
Yeah.
I just rewatched his both Triple G fights. Man, I love Canelo. He's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Both
sure
the
he is.
fights. You know, whatever you think about the judging, I mean, just watching the way he puts combinations together, it's so beautiful.
Didn't we watch the first fight we watched at Sugo or
Yeah, we did. We did. First
and
fight we were at
the
Sugo.
first fight you didn't think GGG won. Well, yeah, you thought Canelo won.
I picked Canelo, you picked
GGG.
Triple G. And when the fight was over, before they announced the winner, you came over to collect your $20 from me.
Yeah,
And all I remember,
yeah.
best thing ever that I remember is you having
Give
to
it
give me that back.
That's true. I remember that.
That was awesome.
Because I was so sure that he won that fight, man. And so were a lot of
He did.
people.
Yeah, I think so too. I remember that was a fight where Adelaide Bird had scored it like 118 to 110 for Canelo. It's crazy. But I rescored that fight, and I do believe that Triple G won that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, by it, but by a rep, but like 115,
Close.
113, I would be okay with.
I agree. But the second one was clearly Canelo to me.
Canelo.
And that's why that was with GGG. That's pretty much why he had his separation from Abel Sanchez. Because Sanchez like started saying like, yeah, I thought Canelo won. He was saying that.
He was right.
GG's fight. The second GG fight, he was like, yeah, I thought he did win.
I think that's fair to say. And then
it is, but you like as a coach, man, you got to be with your guy that's paying you. You're making 10% of his person, and he's making millions.
But you got to make your fighter better. And if you can say to your fighter, look, that was a close fight, but he beat you. Let's go back. Let's see what we got to do to change that. Because Canelo,
I agree.
And but Abel Sanchez has to take also some of the blame for that loss too, because he didn't change the game plan. And they were expecting Canelo to come out like in the first fight, moving around a lot.
But which he didn't at all, right?
No,
he just stood there.
He moved Triple G back, and then Triple G's throwing his punches off his back foot, which he never did before.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Where is this guy? Where is GGG?
Well, look at even though he went to a new team. Did that team do any better for him? I don't think so. Remember the fight against Deryanchenko or whatever that dude's name was?
Yeah,
I thought he lost that fight, Triple G.
I thought he won. He did enough to win. I watched that fight on my honeymoon in Indonesia. I remember
what a great fight that was, eh?
Oh yeah, that was a good fight. Deryanchenko, and then Charlo beat up Deryanchenko.
That's right.
So styles make fights, right?
Styles make fights. Yeah.
Because that
always comes back to that, eh?
Yeah. Because that's what Charlo was talking about. I was like, man, I beat that Deryanchenko easily, and where's GGG? I want his ass. That's how these Charlo brothers talk. I like them though, because they're brash and they're coming. They're coming for it.
Yeah. And you saw that message I sent you today, eh? About exactly what we were talking about now is going to happen.
So that's Chocolatito, Quadras, and Rungvisai and Estrada.
Yes, this is like dream boxing.
So is it like it's been signed as a tournament?
Yeah, really? It's going to be a tournament. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So Quadras is going to fight
Rungvisai.
These two are going to fight their third fight, Chocolatito.
Great.
And and then they're going to rotate who fights
the winner. Winners go move on.
Yeah, I love that.
That's very intriguing because Rungvisai, he lost to Quadras.
Yeah.
They fought the first time. They only fought once, and Quadras beat him.
Yeah, so that's prime for a rematch. And then you got the rubber match with Chocolatito and Estrada. That sets everything up beautifully. I like it. Yeah.
Okay, you wanna let's jump into Doc. So I'm always like strategic with what I'm wearing. There's a reason why I got Oscar De La Hoya's shirt, the Golden Boy, is on, because I don't know if you heard of the announcement that he made. And so basically he was on a cameo for the network Triller about the April 17th pay-per-view thing with Jake Paul and Ben Askren. So De La Hoya comes on there and he's like grab the mic and he's like, July 3rd, I'm making a comeback. And then he drops the mic and he takes off. He's out. So there's nothing, no details yet, like about location, who his opponent is going to be, but nothing's been revealed in that sense. But the talk, what I heard is going to be an MMA fighter that is going to fight, and they didn't say if it's going to be a fight or an exhibition. I don't know, whatever, but an MMA fighter is what I heard.
Yeah. Well, my
Yeah,
guess is it's going to be an exhibition if it does happen. If it does, I think it's a big if.
yeah.
Comeback could mean maybe he's talking about Golden Boy coming back because
No,
they
dog. I
taken
don't think
two
it's a big.
blows.
I don't think it's a big if, man, because he's been talking about the comeback for a while. Like we've heard about it for a while, but he's actually made an announcement now. Like, cause he's a businessman too, right?
Yeah.
Delaware
Yeah.
and with the Golden Boy and everything. And he was actually showing something that I one of his posts on Instagram that today a Triller is like in the number 8 spot of all the top I don't know top streaming networks or whatever is that's number 8 already because that announcement from Jump made it the
Oh,
trajectory go for De La Hoya.
gotcha.
He's very popular. We can't forget that
True.
when he was so popular. He brought a fan base to boxing, which is different, and that's a whole women's fan base, and people love this guy. He was the American hero, 92 Olympic gold medalist,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And he had a good story behind him. And there was also the story how he won the gold medal for his mother who passed away
Mhm.
from cancer. Um,
Cecilia, yeah.
one of my favorite combination punchers, though. I mean, that dude always threw combinations. He had a
Yeah.
slick jab and a slick right hook, right?
He
Or
was,
left hook.
yeah, he was a must watch TV type of fighter. Like you gotta watch De La
Oh,
Hoya. And he was actually one of my favorites at that time when he
I,
was coming out for sure. Loved him.
I understand that. And I just recently rewatched, I don't know why I go back and I watch these older fights. I just watched him fight Arturo Gatti, that fight.
Oh,
That was a
geez.
war, man.
It was a
But
war, but he beat him pretty good, right?
yeah, yeah, he did. But it was still, and his corner threw in the towel. Um, but it's still nice to see
Rest,
combination.
rest in peace to Arturo Gatti.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, for sure, for sure. But it's still, I just really enjoy, I know you do too, watching fighters that are combination punchers.
Mhm.
And De La Hoya was a combination puncher for sure.
Totally. He developed that one punch that he called the 45. It was like a half hook, half uppercut.
Yep.
I mean, he didn't develop it, but he made it popular. That's what he called it. It's like to the foot. Remember the way you talk like you talk like it was like I can't even do it. I sound like Mike Tyson would do. It was like, yeah, I just hit him like bam. But it was a nice punch I used to throw.
Yeah, it was, and Manny Pacquiao threw that punch on him in their fight in 2008.
Amongst other punches that he
Yeah,
landed on him and made him quit. And that was actually his last fight before his last fight of his career, that knockout loss to TKO
TKO.
Manny
Pacquiao.
Pacquiao. I mean, in that fight, he was, to me, he was, I knew this guy. I'm like, this guy's already at 141 and his fight's at 147 and he's already like at one or at what weight was that fight at? 147?
140.
And
No, I think it was
or
140.
40?
I think it was 140. I'd have to recheck that.
I can't remember, but I remember his weight being so low, below the limit of
Yeah, because he like had to dehydrate and then he IV'd and rehydrated for that fight. And
geez.
remember Freddie Roach in the center of the ring. Freddie Roach saw that and saw the mark from the IV and said, "You know what? Go after this guy. He's going to be tired quick. Go after him. You got to be aggressive with this dude." And he
Oh,
was.
I didn't even know that part. I
Yeah,
remember, I couldn't remember it now, but yeah,
yeah,
really, eh?
yeah.
Man,
But that's what your trainer's there for too, right?
a good
Got to know this.
trainer.
Yep.
He's one of the best trainers
Yeah.
ever. So like right now, De La Hoya is saying he's like about 175 pounds. Who knows what weight this fight's gonna be at? But like we're talking about the popularity of Oscar De La Hoya, 19 fights on pay-per-view. He throughout his career, 14 million units sold for his pay-per-view fight, 700 million in pay-per-view revenue.
That's incredible.
That's crazy. They love him, right?
Yeah.
Top Rank and Bob Arum.
Yeah. And I'm sure he had points on the pay-per-view points he got.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how wealthy he is before he became a promoter.
I think he makes more money now as a promoter than because
he does. He does.
I
But he still did well as a boxer.
For sure he did. Yeah, for sure he did. He did amazing. He was awesome to watch. So you want to go into there's like 10 more minutes of dog. Let's talk about couple the fights coming up because that's what we do. We talk about the fights. So on the weekend we got Jamel Herring versus Carl Frampton, 12 rounds for Herring WBO junior lightweight title in Dubai.
I love it.
Good fight, eh?
Yeah.
What's your prediction? Let me write it down.
Write it down.
Say? What do you
gotta go. I still gotta go with Frampton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. I got the Jackal. One thing is that Herring, I don't know how many times he had COVID, but this could be another COVID case where he looks like really thin and like he looks like he's close to his weight. Maybe he's I'm just saying as speculation, maybe. But I just feel like Frampton's style, he's still in, like maybe still in his best years, still that he's got that style that push forward type of style that is gonna be able to crack Jamal Herring. That's what I feel.
I think he hasn't. I mean, he's fought all the top guys. He's got so much experience, especially in the big fights.
For sure.
Right? Yeah. Compared to what's his name, Warrington doesn't have
Herring.
He hasn't fought as many top guys, hasn't been in the spotlight like that. So I always take that into consideration too when I do my predictions. But I think Frampton takes that fight. But either way, it's gonna be an exciting fight.
It's gonna be an exciting fight. I'm excited for that, man. And they're small guys too. I like small guys. But that's these are like, look, then we're talking about best fighting best guys. Let's fight each other. Let's see that. Look how excited we are to see that.
And that really, for Carl Frampton, he needs to win this fight to stay relevant.
100% he has to.
Too much time off. I know he busted his hand in his last fight, but too much time has gone by and then very little talk about him. And now there's talk about him again. So he needs to carry this momentum and he needs to win this fight. And then he can start fighting the other guys at the top of that division. Because that will elevate him to the top guys, to fight the top guys.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
definitely. Then Doc, a week after that, that fight's on ESPN Plus. I don't know if I even get that ESPN Plus, but anyways,
I don't know.
April 10th in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we got Joe Smith Jr. and Maxime Vlasov, and that's going to be the fight that we kind of talked about. Better be looking at the winner of that fight.
Right, that's exactly what we're talking about. How certain fights can have an effect on the division. Like Dillian Whyte doesn't have an effect on the division, but this fight will definitely have an effect on the division.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, you're right. And that should be an interesting fight because, if everything goes as planned, and we know in boxing it does not always work that way, but Joe Smith Jr. should be the winner on paper. And if it is, he's a come forward fighter, Better be don't go back that much. and Beterbiev is going to fight. So that this should be a shootout, man.
Yeah, but I think that his style,
Too
Smith
strong.
Jr. plays right into Beterbiev's
Yeah, true.
game. It really does.
Yeah.
When you guys got guys that stick and move, it's always harder for Beterbiev. But a guy that's just going to come forward like that, he may be perfect for Beterbiev. I predict a knockout in that fight as well.
Yeah, I predicted a knockout too. He's
Yeah.
he's gonna be there for the to get knocked out.
Yeah.
Beterbiev.
Plus more. Exactly. And he'll be that much further away from his experience with COVID too.
Yeah.
And it won't be such a big delay compared to his last fight, 17 months. So he's just got everything going for him going into that fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that what's his name's not going to come prepared, Smith Jr.
For sure.
But that's going to be a tough fight for him.
And today, like, it seems like our podcast, we've been talking a lot about COVID and the effects of COVID. So there's another guy when we talked about Beterbiev in his fight with the German Adam Dines. He didn't look like the Beterbiev that we're accustomed to seeing, right, Doc?
Right, I agree. So
is that effect of COVID? Who knows?
I think who knows? Could it be effect? But it could be multiple factors. 17 months off.
Yeah.
Plus COVID. Who knows? That I think that played into it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, eh? Like boxing is always been, and you can look historically, a reflection of what's happening generally in society.
Yeah. That's right? So true. Yeah.
I mean, you can go back all the way to Joe Louis fighting Max Schmeling, and you had Joe Louis representing the U.S. Schmeling Germany. Reluctantly representing Germany, and and reflecting of what was happening in the world, and that still goes on today. And COVID is just another war that we're fighting that's being reflected in boxing.
Yeah.
And I think that's always what makes boxing intriguing too.
Yeah, Doctor, you're right, Doc. And just because we're talking about that right now, but there's something that was revealed. First of all, boxing Sweet Science 2.0 is one of the best Instagram groups to follow. This guy, like, there's so many interviews of all the best guys. Like, great interviews, great insight. Anyways, so he posted something today showing a picture, and this is a picture of Povetkin's cornerman, one of his cornermen, holding something, like, anyways. So he has a tattoo on his arm right there. And the
Povetkin?
No, the corner guy is in the corner, but it's going like that. And there's a like, it's right there. There's a tattoo on his arm.
And what does it say on the tattoo?
And it's I guess it's a hate symbol. Let's see, it's called he's like, I know what the sign stands for and represents. So basically, like, it's a black sun. It's a Nazi symbol. That's what
black sun?
The black sun. That's what the symbol is. That it's not just a pure black, which is a Nazi symbol. So if it is or not, it's called the Sonard or the sun wheel, one of several ancient European symbols appropriated by the Nazis in their attempt to invent and idolize Aryan heritage. Yeah.
So he knew that. See, look, the swastika is a very old. It's either a Buddhist or a Hindu symbol. and it was appropriated by Hitler, but it's a symbol now that we've become to know as evil.
Right.
And we know that. So if somebody's getting a swastika, knowing, even if they say, oh, it's a Buddhist symbol, it has nothing to do with Nazism, well, it does, and it was made into that symbol. So if this guy knowingly did that, and he already knew beforehand what it represented, well, he's a piece of shit, if you ask me. Anybody that puts that stuff on their bodies like that is a piece of shit. Excuse my language.
No, you're totally right, for sure. And then, okay, look at where they're from. They're from Russia, right? Russia. And you know, I don't want to get into the politics and everything, but
I know
there's a lot that happens there, put it that way, in Russia, right?
There is a very strong racist part of their society. That's true. How strong, I don't know, but that's still pretty disgusting. If you know what you're doing, and you're purposely saying to your tattoo artist, here, I want this, and you know what it represents in modern times, regardless of its history, I mean, you're probably a racist,
totally,
or a white supremacist, or whatever he is. That's jerky.
That's
good. I'm glad Povetkin lost then.
I know, eh?
I don't like that stuff, man.
That's not, it doesn't belong in a sport like this that's dominated by minorities and
exactly. So we don't need that in the sport.
Anywhere.
Glad Povetkin's out.
For sure.
Maybe it won't fight again.
Okay, Doc. So we're done for for the evening.
Done.
And
good job.
You have yourself a splendid evening, and
you too, buddy.
Till the next one.
All right.
Jamal Herring. I'm gonna quit. I love when Roger. We were talking about Roger Mayweather. Man, he's like, he goes like this. Is like, man, let me quiz you real quick. And then like he's like, and then I guess somebody saw like the answers of it was like some fight or whatever, and the answer on the wall. He's like, man, he's cheating, man. let me quiz you real quick. I love Roger Mayweather, man. He was fabulous, amazing.
He was
guy.
Awesome. He was awesome.
Okay, Doc, we out.
Okay,
next
bud.
one. Peace out.
Next week.
All right.
We'll see you then. Ciao.